Under the dim yellow light of his law office, Marcus Hayes quietly read through the case file that had just been delivered. He had handled many difficult cases before, but this time something felt different. His client, Richard Alden, was an elderly white man accused of participating in the lynching of a black man during the Jim Crow era. The case had sent shockwaves through the public, drawing intense media scrutiny and attention from civil rights organizations. Many were outraged that a crime seemingly buried in the past was now resurfacing, with truth that could reshape the very notion of justice. Marcus knew that as a lawyer, his duty was to provide a defense and protect his client's legal rights, regardless of guilt or innocence. But deep inside, he couldn't ignore the disgust creeping through him at the thought of what Richard might have done. The images of brutal lynchings, of lifeless bodies hanging from trees like grim reminders of America's racist past, sent chills down his spine. Yet he took the case, partly because of his professional obligation, but also because he believed the truth needed to come to light, no matter how painful it might be. As he signed the contract to take on Richard Alden's defense, Marcus had no way of knowing that this case would be more than just a legal battle. It would become a journey forcing him to confront the dark history, not just of Richard Alden, but of his own family. As Marcus delved deeper into the case, he began piecing together Richard Alden's past. The accusations against him stemmed from an incident that had taken place over 60 years ago, a lynching that had long been buried under decades of silence and fear. The prosecution claimed to have new evidence linking Richard to the crime, but much of it was circumstantial. Witnesses had either passed away or were too afraid to speak, and the legal system had long failed to hold perpetrators of such crimes accountable. Determined to build his defense, Marcus began interviewing people connected to the case. He spoke with historians, combed through old police reports, and even visited the small southern town where the lynching had taken place. What he found disturbed him. Richard Alden had been more than just a bystander. He had been a key figure in a violent white supremacist group, one that had operated in the shadows for generations. Even more troubling, there were whispers that the organization still existed, adapting to modern times while maintaining its racist ideology. Despite his professional detachment, Marcus couldn't ignore his growing unease. Richard showed no remorse. In their meetings, the old man spoke with an unsettling calmness about the past, dismissing the accusations as exaggerations in a different time. His cold indifference sent a chill down Marcus's spine. The more he uncovered, the more he questioned whether he could, in good conscience, continue defending this man. Then came the revelation that shook Marcus to his core. While researching old court records, he stumbled upon a name that felt eerily familiar: Samuel Hayes. His grandfather. The documents revealed that Samuel had been one of the men lynched that fateful night. The realization hit Marcus like a thunderbolt. The man he had sworn to defend was the same man responsible for his grandfather's brutal murder. His hands trembled as he stared at the faded newspaper clipping detailing the crime. A photograph showed a group of white men standing over the lifeless body of a black man, their faces partially obscured by shadows. And there, among them, was a young Richard Alden, smirking at the camera. The past had just become painfully personal. Marcus felt a surge of conflicting emotions: rage, betrayal, a deep sense of injustice. His entire career had been built on the belief that the law could serve as a tool for justice, but now he found himself trapped in a moral dilemma. Should he continue defending a man who had destroyed his own family? Or should he find another way to expose the truth? Marcus sat in his office, his mind racing. The weight of his discovery pressed down on him like a boulder, suffocating and inescapable. The man he was defending wasn't just another client. He was a murderer, a remorseless relic of an era defined by hatred and bloodshed. Worse, Richard Alden was responsible for tearing apart Marcus's own family. Every fiber of his being screamed for him to walk away, to expose Richard for the monster he was. But the law wasn't so simple. If he abandoned the case without cause, it could jeopardize the entire prosecution strategy. If he leaked what he knew, he would be disbarred. His internal battle intensified when the threats began. A mysterious envelope arrived at his office. Inside was an old photograph of his grandfather's lynching, along with a note scrawled in red ink: "Drop the case or history repeats itself." His heart pounded as he realized what this meant. Richard wasn't just a remnant of a bygone era. His network was still alive, still watching, still willing to kill to protect their secrets. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Marcus sought out an investigative journalist, Maya Brooks, who had spent years uncovering hidden white supremacist networks. Together, they dug deeper, tracing Richard's connections to a secret society operating in powerful political and business circles. The evidence was there, but getting it to the right hands without blowing his cover was another challenge. At their next meeting, Marcus confronted Richard subtly, pushing him to reveal more. The old man chuckled darkly, leaning back in his chair. "You think this is about one case? This is history, son. It never really changes. Men like me, we built this country. Men like you, well, you only get as far as we allow." His words sent a chill through Marcus, but they also steeled his resolve. The breaking point came in court. As the trial reached its most pivotal moment, Marcus made his decision. He couldn't be a passive participant in this charade. He strategically used his questioning to lead the prosecution toward the truth, subtly exposing inconsistencies in Richard's statements. Piece by piece, the facade of innocence crumbled. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as the jury listened intently. Then the bombshell. The prosecution, armed with the evidence Marcus had uncovered with Maya, presented proof that Richard hadn't just been involved in past lynchings, he had continued his activities well into recent years, orchestrating hate crimes under a different guise. Gasps echoed in the courtroom. Richard's smug demeanor vanished. For the first time, he looked shaken. But just as victory seemed within reach, chaos erupted. A gunshot rang out. A masked man, seated in the back of the courtroom, fired a single shot toward Marcus before being tackled by security. Marcus barely dodged, the bullet grazing his shoulder. Panic spread as officers restrained the attacker, a known associate of Richard's secret network. Bleeding but alive, Marcus knew one thing for certain. He had just declared war on something far bigger than one man. And he wasn't backing down. Marcus lay in a hospital bed, his shoulder wrapped in bandages, the sterile scent of antiseptic filling the air. The bullet had barely missed anything vital, but the message had been clear: this fight wasn't over. As he scrolled through the news reports on his phone, he saw the ripple effect of the trial's dramatic turn. Richard Alden had been denied bail, now facing not only historical murder charges but new accusations linked to modern hate crimes. His network, once hidden in the shadows, was being dismantled piece by piece as authorities launched investigations into the group's activities. Maya Brooks visited him later that evening, bringing files of newly uncovered information. "You've started something big, Marcus," she said. "This wasn't just about one man. This case has blown the lid off an entire system." But Marcus already knew that. The case had never been just about Richard Alden. It was about justice. Justice for his grandfather, for every forgotten victim of racial violence, for the generations that had been silenced. He had walked into this case thinking he was defending a client. In the end, he had been defending history itself. A week later, Marcus stood before his grandfather's grave, the cool autumn breeze rustling the leaves. He placed a single white rose on the headstone, his chest tightening with emotion. "I hope I did right by you," he whispered. As he walked away, he knew the fight wasn't over. But for the first time in his career, Marcus Hayes felt certain of one thing: he wasn't just practicing law anymore. He was pursuing justice, and he wouldn't stop until the past finally paid its dues. At its core, the story challenges the idea that time alone can erase past sins. The legacy of racial violence and systemic oppression doesn't simply fade. It lingers in institutions and families, in the very fabric of society. Through Marcus Hayes' journey, we see the impossible choices that come with fighting for justice, how morality and duty can collide, how the truth can be both liberating and devastating. Marcus' struggle is not just against one man, but against an entire system built to protect those who have long escaped accountability. His decision to expose Richard Alden at the cost of his own safety is a testament to the courage it takes to confront the past, even when doing so comes with real danger. The story serves as a reminder that justice is not just about courtrooms and verdicts, but about who controls history and whose stories are told.